Merry Christmas, everyone, or Merry December 25th, or whatever you want to call it. I call it Christmas because I celebrate Christmas. And I've been celebrating Christmas this year by, as you can tell, uploading and re-uploading a whole lot of really old stuff that I've made, whether it be animations or Let's Play videos or one a cappella thing that I made ages ago, and that went up on the Junk Drawer channel. No, I won't just have old stuff, I will have some new stuff today as well, and this video that you're watching right now is one of those new things, but it contains a lot of old stuff because I've been feeling very reminiscent lately. And that's not a surprise to anyone who's seen some of my more recent videos about finding my creative center and determining exactly what inspired me years ago and how that's changed in more recent years. I've still been feeling a need for some of that. I've still been feeling some uncertainty and some insecurity about my work, and by my work, mostly I just mean my game that I've been working on for ages because I want to do it right, and I want to have fun with it, and it's hard to exactly determine how the best way to make it is. And I thought maybe the best way for me to try to rekindle that spark that I remember from ages ago, because back when I was first on Newgrounds and on the VGDC forums and I was learning how to make Flash animations, there was a magical spark that filled me up every day. Like, every day I wanted to make something new. Every day I felt like I could do anything I wanted to as long as I could learn. And nothing was going to stop me. Nothing like people's expectations of me were going to stop me from doing what I wanted. I did whatever I wanted to because I just had fun being me. And I've forgotten to some extent what it's like to be me. At least whenever I'm thinking too hard about it. But I decided maybe I could bring back that spark if I could surround myself in my past. If I could find some way to recreate it, to envelop myself in nostalgia, and just see what happens. Essentially what I wanted to do was build myself a time machine. And if you've heard me talk about building myself a time machine on Twitter or on Discord, well, I'm about to show you what I meant by that. This is my Christmas present to myself. This right here is my time machine. Now, if you recognize this page, then you're a veteran of Newgrounds, because this is a Newgrounds portal page from 2004, I believe. Complete with really loud flash movies that you can explode by rolling your mouse over them. Now, it's not a completely faithful page. I decided to remove the ad at the top. There was an ad here. These portal buttons, they used to be flash buttons. They're not anymore because I couldn't get the links to work whenever they were flash buttons, so I turned them into little JavaScript buttons instead. So they look a little bit different whenever you roll your mouse over them, but mostly they're the same. And, of course, I'm not going to have all of these links be perfectly functional, but these here, all of these Flash movie and Flash game links, these are the heart of the time machine. All of these links I replaced with links to pages on my computer that contain Flash movies that I've downloaded. And they go to this little page that sort of looks like the pages that Newgrounds opened up whenever you clicked on a Flash movie. The only one that works properly in that way is Madness Apotheosis here. It's the only one that opens as a pop-up, which I might try to do this for all of them eventually. And actually, Madness Apotheosis here, the point of this whole shebang is not to just randomly archive old Flash movies. These are all Flash movies that I particularly remember. And some of them are maybe particularly important to me, or some of them are just animations that I remembered from a long time ago that I forgot about, and they just remind me of that time period. And some of them kind of make me emotional watching them. Some of these are archived because they no longer exist on Newgrounds, and they're animations that were near and dear to me, and I wanted to preserve them. And the reason that a number of these no longer exist on Newgrounds is because Newgrounds had this sort of wildfire almost, where the owners of the site said, well, we can't risk having animations in games anymore that have copyrighted music. So stuff like this, stuff like the We Hate It When collab, which has the song We Hate It When Our Friends Become Successful by Real Big Fish, this no longer exists on Newgrounds because it contains copyrighted music. But this is an animation that while not necessarily the world's greatest animation, is something that's part of my past. This is part of me. This is part of what built me as a person, is this animation. Same can be said for the Daft Punk collab. This was also significant to the VGDC forums. There were a number of people from that forum who contributed to this collab. And it contains the Daft Punk Bigger, Better, Faster, Stronger music. The Numa Numa dance. You wouldn't think it, but the Numa Numa dance is no longer on Newgrounds. For the very same reason. And watching this again recently actually made me feel kind of emotional. You wouldn't think it because it's the Numa Numa dance, like who could get emotional watching this, but something about the combination of this old webcam imagery and that song, and just my memories of that time period, it all kind of makes me feel like I'm a child again. And so, bringing me back to this, Madness Apotheosis was always my favorite Madness animation of the Madness Combat series, and I remembered it playing slower than it actually does, because I guess on my computer it ran a little bit slower, so I actually found a way to bring this animation into a flash file with a lower frame rate, and then I had to recreate some of these buttons so that they work properly. I did all that just to give it a more authentic experience to what I recall from my past. So it runs at a slower pace than the animation that you would actually see on Newgrounds now. I had a hard time recreating some of these things. I tried recreating Littlefoot in an authentic way. Littlefoot is an animation that I remember very fondly on Newgrounds, but sadly if you try to download it, if you try to download the original flash file, it doesn't really work very well because it's site locked. It's site locked to Newgrounds specifically, and I tried the one on the creator's website, Adam Phillips. It's site locked there too. So the best I could do to recreate the feeling of it still being a Flash movie is to put it in a video format, have the video be the right size that it was on Newgrounds, and just remove the video controls. That's the best that I could do, and I think it works pretty well. Let's see, another one. Blue 2 made this animation called Arms. Here's a feature that you're not going to see on a video form, as the Arms title keeps changing every time you refresh the page. This one no longer exists because it's got the song Heaven and Hot Rods. I actually went into this animation and decompiled it using a decompiler that I got for the purpose of taking the old Riddle School games that I no longer have flash files for, and the first Riddle School I decided to change up a little bit just so it would be like people remember it to be, but in higher quality. I used the decompiler to take Arms and actually make the song higher quality, which there was more editing to that song than I expected, just for the animation. Now this is another animation by the same guy. It's called Blue X, which for some reason has real in parentheses after the Blue X part. This was actually always my favorite animation of this guy's, but I don't know if it doesn't still exist on Newgrounds because of the copyright or because the creator just didn't like it, but I always really liked this one. He was not proud of it for whatever reason. I guess just because he's made other stuff that he considers better, but I like the sort of like slight jankiness to this one. I like the drab colors. I think it feels, I don't know, it feels like a real infiltration. It doesn't feel too clean, because I think some animations are just a little bit too clean. The Misery of Cake. If you've ever heard of the Fifth Avocado, Picked Up on a Bus is, like, he's mentioned it a number of times. It's not something that he made, but he's referenced it plenty of times in his videos. This is by the same creator as the Fifth Avocado. It was, it's perhaps not nearly as engaging, but it's something that I remember watching a long time ago, and I laughed at it then. I still think it's amusing now. Sammy the Stapler no longer exists on Newgrounds, presumably because it has a couple of copyrighted songs. One of them would be the Temporary Secretary song by Paul McCartney, but I love this. This stupid animation. It is so stupid, and it's brilliant. And also I like the fact that it's just Sammy the Stapler 3. That's what it was submitted as on Newgrounds, but there was never a 1 or a 2. I think maybe the creator made the 1 and the 2 just out of an actual stapler, like maybe it was a stop motion or something, and this was the only one he could upload because it was the only one that was a Flash movie. That's just my best guess. Nicholas's Weird Adventure 2. I think I have 1 and 2 here. These are games that I played a long time ago, and I still think that there's a lot of wit and charm to them, and there's silliness. They are made by someone who you might better know as Walrus Guy on YouTube, for his YouTube poops. Let's see, Let's Play Some Mario by Average Roadkill is a good one. The Stick. Okay, The Stick and The Unknown. Both of these are very movie-style stick figure animations that are really long, or at least I remember them being really long. They have this sort of cinematic flair to them, and it always made me think, like, wow, I could use Flash to make something, like, really impressive and really movie-esque, as opposed to just something that feels like a regular old thing on the internet. And that got me thinking more ambitiously. And then there were other things that got me thinking less ambitiously again, like Pork. Pork was always my favorite Weeble animation. Wilt the Last Blossom is a game that I remember really getting into because of its melancholic tone. Speaking of melancholy, All I Need is an animation that I really loved back in the day. It didn't get much recognition because it sort of ends abruptly, and I don't think that people appreciated it that much for that reason, but I love the animation, I love the tone. The song just fits really well. Everything about it is so artsy, and I just love it. I really wish that it still existed on Newgrounds. Now, it's worth mentioning, this is a 2004 Portal page, but most of these animations and games are not from 2004, and a lot of them are from afterwards. So, this is by no means an authentic page, but it is a page that is authentic for my nostalgia, at any rate. I still have some links that I could put here. I don't have an Underdog of the Week yet. I have to find something that won Underdog of the Week to put it there. That's my qualification, because like all of these, The Unknown got a daily feature, Ignorance is Bliss got a weekly user's choice, Goat51 got a review crew pick, Turd of the Week is B, gotta have B, I love B. King of the Portal, I should really just put Strawberry Clock there. I don't know who this is. That's a link that I have not replaced yet. But yeah, there's... all these animations are from much, much later than the rest of these. These up here. But these are animations that particularly stand out to me and feel more like older animations to me, except for this one, which is a game. And this is a game that was released in 2017, but is a sequel to a game that I think was released in 2005. I want to say that's the case. And if you look at it, it definitely looks like a 2005 game. It definitely looks very dated. But I wish that it got more recognition. It only got a daily 4th place, I think, on Newgrounds. And that upsets me because it's actually quite ambitious for what it is. I'm not going to sit here and play it because I have a microphone next to me, and I would rather play with 2 hands, but this microphone would be in the way of one of my hands, so... yeah, I can't really do that very well. The Orphan is a new animation that I like. It's got a certain sweetness to it. I like the style. Apples in the Tree is a game that sadly doesn't work super well on my computer because I can't really run and jump at the same time with the button combination that it has. But the main special thing about this one for me is the fact that whenever you go into the house and enter the bed, this girl main character, I don't know exactly what her name is or anything, but if you sit here on this bed long enough, then she drifts off to sleep, wait for it, and into a dream world. You can go into various different realms in this dream world. It's sort of like an Easter egg, but it's also part of the game. It's part of the experience. Here's the original Meat Boy, not Super Meat Boy, it's just the original Meat Boy, which I think has the better World 1 song. Skullface is essentially Super Meat Boy, but with a character who's a lot more parkour-esque. It's like a combination of N Plus and Super Meat Boy. I actually like it more than Meat Boy, personally, but that's just me. So these are just things that, regardless of what the public has established them to be in terms of value, regardless of how well-known or not well-known they are, these are things that are special to me. These are things that I like for what they are because of what kind of person I am. And these are things that have kind of built me up over time. Pico's School and Pico's Mansion. Pico's Mansion I don't think exists on Newgrounds anymore. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. This is a fan game that I think was supposed to be sort of a combination of Pico's School and Luigi's Mansion. Sort of a mix of the two. It was never finished. This is only a demo, and I don't think there will ever be a completed version of it. Let's see. Oh yeah, forgot about that. If you right-click and press play, you get to see all sorts of behind-the-scenes stuff. That's always made me think about what the full game would have been like. Not that it matters, I'm okay with it being what it is. Baking with Sartha Mewert is it's a good game that I remember wishing had more recognition than it does. It's a point-and-click adventure. Mario and Luigi Forever 1. I made it say by Kefko, because that's what the guy's name was before he changed it to Swap on Newgrounds. He swapped his name to Swap, S-W-A-P-P. So if you were to find this animation on Newgrounds, it would be by Swap. And this animation is notable to me because it's the most serious, dark sprite movie that I watched before at least Power Star came out, Power Star 4. It has a very serene menu, and then you get to, like, there are these Koopas who break into a person's house and they kill the mother and they kill the child, and then Mario has a nightmare about everything in ruins, and it has always stuck out to me as this animation with a great tone to it, and it didn't seem like it got that much recognition. Boing Shoes. Boing Shoes is a commercial that I always found quite funny. A fake, intentionally very badly done commercial. I haven't really been looking at a lot of these top 50 of all time things. The Yu is, of course, one of the most amazingly animated things that I've ever seen. If you actually bother to watch it, it's so impressive. But what more could you expect from someone who worked at Disney for like 20 years before he decided to drop that job and just do Flash animation? Which is just crazy. Mortal Kombat vs. Street Fighter. This is an animation that I remember really liking, and it had 2 sequels, but this is always the one that I liked the best. I always thought that the battle for this one was the most intense and the least needlessly flashy.
Round 1.
And if you want to check that out, you can. Pretty sure that one's still on the site. Castle 3, entire epic series. Joe Zombie, the later Joe Zombie episodes. I am a little bit disappointed that the creator of Joe Zombie stopped the series a little bit early. He had 1 episode probably left to go. Then again, episode 5 ended with to be concluded, and then episode 6 also ended with to be concluded. So, yeah, I wish there was a 7th part, but maybe it's better left a mystery what happens after that one. But yeah, he went on to just focus on Cyanide and Happiness cartoons. That's Rob Denblaker. And then there's Johnny Rocket Fingers 2. I took a lot of inspiration from that for the Riddle School games, or at least Riddle School 3. Power Star, always loved Power Star, hence why I made Power Star 4.5 after I watched the 4th one, and there was still a week before it came out on Newgrounds. Santa Claus 3 is one of my favorite Eddsworld cartoons, possibly my favorite, mostly for that song at the end. It's an amazing song. A Super Mario Story 1, oh, this one. This is an animation that I remember because I took the idea of this animation and made an animation myself called, like, A Super Mario Movie or something. Because this is a Super Mario Story 1, and this is a Super Mario movie. This doesn't exist on Newgrounds. I really wish it did. A lot of stuff by Sam Green doesn't exist on Newgrounds anymore. I think the entire Killing Spree series, or at least everything except one, is pretty much gone from the website now. I didn't have a great attachment to those, but I did have a great attachment to this. So many memories here. I could be here for a very long time, but I think I'll probably cut it short now. There's just so much that I could talk about with all of these. I remember my first time, I remember the first moment that I saw Decline of Video Gaming 3 on the front page, and it was like Christmas on a day that wasn't Christmas. This page of mine that I created, it's been a really fun project for me. Because back in these days, the world felt smaller but in a good way. It felt cozier. It felt like it was all more personal, and now everything feels a little bit more vast and corporate somehow, and I can't exactly explain how, but this reminds me of what it felt like for the world to be cozier. So yeah, that's my Christmas gift to myself. I'll end by playing James the Christmas Zebra.
Okay,
this is a game made by the Super Flash Brothers, who are now known as SFB Games, and you might know them from Haunt the House. If you've ever played Haunt the House, that is one of their games. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this trip through memory lane for me. I hope your holiday season is truly spectacular.